address. But one of those areas where Alabama should need to address it, Jimmy, is the running back spot. Want to get specific with that area on today's show. And boy, you look at the way the season ended with Justice Haynes, and I just thought the polish and how poised he looked in that Rose Bowl game against Michigan struck me as much as anything physically. He just looked like a dude that should have been in the spot he was in for a lot of that game. Kind of bittersweet with Jace McClellan moving on, because that felt like healthy Jace that we never quite got to see enough of over an extended stretch at Alabama. So with Jace moving on, Roydell Williams taking the transfer portal to Florida State, where does the line start for you? Justice, Jam, just looking at that group.
Yeah, to me, it's just, I'd call the Justice and Jam show, or the Jam and Justice show. That's what I suspect will be the situation, a 1A and 1B situation with those two guys. And let's not forget Richard Young. I know we saw him a lot less than the other guys, but from everything that I hear, from everything I expect to see, I think he will be as good of a number 3 back, as you're going to see in this league. And I think if those three stay healthy, Alabama's run game could potentially be very, very good. I see it as kind of being the bread and butter of this offense. And in terms of what Kalen DeBoer is inheriting, he's going to have a run game or running backs that he can rely on. He had a good one at Washington and Dylan Johnson, who's a good player. I think he's going to be thrilled when spring practices start and he really sees Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Kalen DeBoer will feel like that little Charlie kid in the Willy Wonka movie. I mean, like, you got to be kidding me. These two guys, I think they're great talents. What they need to improve on is the little things that Jason Roydell, due to their experience, became good at over time. The picking up blitzes, the pass protection, catching the football, just all the little things, ball security, things that older kids just have more of a handle on. But that will come with experience, and it's going to come quickly because those guys will get a lot of carries early. Look, when you have a new offense and you have a quarterback that's learning the new offense, then there is nothing better than having 2 running backs that you can rely on to help win the game. I think Justice and Jam are here at a really good time. I think DeBoer is going to be thrilled finding them here, and I suspect they're both going to have very big years in 2024.
Yeah, off the ball work with young backs is kind of the thing you always wonder about. I thought we saw some improvement from Jam Miller in that regard in his second year. I thought Justice showed up about as polished in that way as you could as a newcomer. And Richard Young, Tim, I get some Eddie Lacy, Trent Richardson combo vibes from those two, and coming in the same class, and what the future could hold for Richard Young, who I don't think, watching his high school tape, probably got as much of those opportunities that we're talking about like Justice Haynes got maybe at the high school level.
Yeah. And real quick before I answer, I want to take a minute and ask you guys to take 1 second, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, hit like, hit subscribe. We're close to, I think, 7,000 followers, which is huge, starting from scratch. Again, we enjoy this. We have fun with it. So take 1 second, like and subscribe for us. Recommend it to a friend, and we'd appreciate it. Yeah, with Richard Young, I think with Richard kind of got lost in the Justice Haynes drama. Richard, there was no drama with Richard, right? He committed on a Friday. I'll never forget, people were predicting him to Oregon out of the blue. He committed to Friday. We knew he'd been a silent commitment for a while. I don't really believe in silent commitments, but it's something we're aware of. He had told the staff he was coming. And then after that, he was quiet, right? We didn't hear a lot. There wasn't a lot of drama. Now, Justice goes home to Georgia, and, oh, Lord, he's gone home to Georgia, crossed the state line. That's where his parents live. So we had constant Justice discussion and drama, which was fun. Georgia was there. Ohio State was there. So I think Justice just hogged the spotlight. Plus, Justice is special. He's a special player. However, Richard Young has got some little things I'm not sure anybody else on that, in that 5-man roster, in that 5-man room has. He's got an extra gear. I mean, when he gets it, he's going. It's probably a little bit more straight up the field. Justice has got that natural ability of cutting and planning and all that. But Richard Young, he finds a seam, he's going to be a trouble. I mean, he is going to be a handful. He can run the football. He is fast. He's sturdy. You know, he doesn't look very big, but dude, when that kid got his, his shirt and everything off, this was in high school. I haven't even seen him since then. He was a big, strong, muscular guy. So not some little, rinky-dink guy back there. So yeah, he might have a little bit more of an extra gear than the other guys in that room.
And Jimmy, I think so much of it gets overlooked because of the production of Michael Penix and those wide receivers at Washington. But really, in this offense, you want to play in the NFL at the running back position? Translatable is a word that certainly comes to mind for guys like Haynes and Young and Jam and the newcomers that Alabama will welcome or has welcomed and will continue to welcome here as we head into the summer months.
Probably the most exciting aspect to me of the entire DeBoer offense is this. They run the football. Michael Penix, I think, threw for more yards, first or second in the country in the amount of yards that Michael Penix threw for. And I think people have a tendency when they hear that to assume, oh, they must not run the ball very much. I think Dylan Johnson was second in the Pac-12 in rushing yards. They do run the ball. There's a commitment to do that. And I'll be honest, I'm glad because I get a little critical myself of the spread offenses that throw it 50 times and never try to run the ball. I'm just adamantly opposed to that style of play. And I'm thrilled that, hey, you kind of get the best of both worlds with the Kalen DeBoer offense. They want to throw the ball. They want to throw it downfield. They want to be explosive, but he never forgets the run game. It's always a big part of what's going on. And Dylan Johnson's 1,200 rush yards excite me every bit as much as any other aspect of what Washington did last year with Penix and Rome Odunze, who's just a fantastic receiver that we'll talk about a lot on this show leading up to the draft. But the fact that Dylan Johnson was so productive in that Washington offense excites me because it's not crazy to assume or think that Jam Miller and Justice Haynes both might be as good or better than that guy. Now, we'll see what kind of blocking they get, but I'm super excited about the fit of Alabama's running backs with what DeBoer wants to do on offense.
Everybody loves explosive plays in the passing game, but if you look at the offenses that really produce them in terms of efficiency, they have the threat of the run game because a lot of it comes off of that. The teams that average 8, 9 yards, 10 yards per attempt, you have to respect the running backs and or the quarterback in the run game. You look at some of these air raid offenses that are strictly like Jimmy's talking about, spread you out. They're averaging 5.5, 6 yards per pass attempt. They're not hitting the explosive plays just because they're throwing it 40 plus times. So efficiency, Tim, and the threat of the run, still a big part of this thing.
Yeah, and I also think, I think there was some discussion about they only ran one running back, who obviously was their best running back, but no offense to Washington, but I don't think that running back room was the same as Alabama's running back room. And we haven't really, because it was so quiet and so late, we haven't really even discussed Kevin Riley and Kevin Riley and what kind of player he is. He's an excellent player. He is a very good football player in that average class for running backs. But he might be one of the guys up there with the biggest upside. And, of course, Daniel Hill, who we did spend a lot of time discussing, I mean, he's a big banger type. I mean, that's the thing is like when you see Daniel, you look at him and you wonder, is he going to be that good? He looks like a Mike linebacker. We've seen that in high school. Dante Hightower could rush for 100 yards in high school. But when you actually see him against his peers in an all-star game, the Alabama-Mississippi game, the game in San Antonio, then we saw exactly how talented he is. So, again, I think this running back room, because you want to run, you got to be balanced. What did old Buddy Ryan call it, chuck and duck? You can't just come in there like Andre Ware and throwing it like you said. Again, those 5-yard passes are what everybody else is doing with the 5-yard run. But this room, I think if you look at this room and Robert Gillespie, you know how much Robert Gillespie loves that room. I think you're going to be excited. And you can add another element to it. Because we've seen the offense, talented wide receivers. Shep's one of the guys I've really liked from a talent standpoint of running routes and teaching. I think Shep is what Josh Gaddis pretended he was. I think this guy is exactly that instructional guy that's teaching these guys to run routes. Seeing the tight ends involved. So you had a few running backs. I mean, no, Kalen DeBoer's not going, look, we're a passing team. We're not running these guys a lot. I don't care how good they are. He's not doing that. He's figuring out a way to get them into that game, get them into the offense more.